venture fund out in Colorado that they're like building for like African Americans, BIPOC, all these different founders. And me and Kris reached out. You know, we're at like our homecoming, right? And we just like reached out, got an interview, and we seemed like we were really too far away. Like we were like, oh, there's no way they're gonna bring us into this program. But he said, hey, if you guys, I mean, he's like to this fund. He said, but if you guys do this access mode or this other opportunity I have with our accelerator, you might have a better chance of getting to the funds. Well, even before we go in there, I would love to, because you kind of brought it to it. I would love to hear just how we met, because we don't talk about that, but it does go into this, right? Like we are all in an accelerator program together, right?
Are we doing name drops or?
I mean, of course, if you want to.
I feel like we're dancing around the program name.
Shout out to Access Mode.
Access, of course.
Shout out to Access Mode.
I don't know, Kyle. You could tell a little bit more about how we met Kevin.
Oh, really? I don't think it's that crazy. There's this venture fund out in Colorado that they're like building for like African Americans, BIPOC, all these different founders. And me and Kris reached out. You know, we're at like our homecoming, right? And we just like reached out, got an interview. And we seemed like we were really too far away. Like we were like, oh, there's no way they're going to bring us into this program. But he said, hey, if you guys, I mean, he's like to this fund. He said, but if you guys do this access mode or this other opportunity I have with our accelerator, you might have a better chance of getting to the fund. So then we kind of forgot, and then we just like reached out. Did I miss anything? But then I was
gonna say then we went through the interviewing process and obviously got selected. So that was one of the best highlights of BookUm so far, just being able to be like, okay, someone believes in our, this idea that we are passionate about and see that there's a opportunity here. And it was the first person that was like, yes, come join us. And then I love founders. I love being around them. And then obviously founders of color. And then I was able to meet, Donavan, Caleb, and many others. So I want to hear about y'all.
I mean, we all have, first of all, our characters are all, we all have amazing characters and personalities that we bring to the table, which is amazing, right? But you said something there too, which is getting validation from extra. One of the most important thing when you're building a company is getting validation from others, and especially when it's like business organizations or investment organizations or accelerator programs. So getting accepted into an accelerator program that you have to qualify for is it's a huge boost in your confidence, your in the progress of your company. So I would say to add on to that, like when WalletGyde also got accepted as well, interestingly, we were coming from right after a prior accelerator program. It was just a prior accelerator program. So we were already in the trenches, and we were like, yo, okay, what's next? What we got? And then out of nowhere, we I had conversations with Kevin as well. Actually, where I met him was through this other organization that was ran by these other people, and so that's where I met him, and we had a nice conversation, pitched the product to him, and at that time, we were a little early stage. I don't think we were ready, and probably because we were initially looking for funding. And so I don't think we were necessarily ready, but I kept in connection with him. So I will, throw out a nugget, if we're allowed to do that here, is like, look, in the process of this journey, like, even though like you pitch in front of people and they say no, or this or whatever. No just means I was just actually watching a nice little YouTube. No means just like not now, like maybe later or next opportunity, whatever, next opportunity, right? NO, next opportunity. So like don't like feel too disheartened if you're speaking to an investor or a customer or whatever, and they say like, nah, you know, or no, or you're not interested. I kept in touch, and then went through another accelerator program, and then after that accelerator program, I reached back out to him, and he was like, oh wow, yeah, no, this looks great. And then he told me about access mode. So that's how I got.
I'm sorry to jump in right before Donovan goes, but you said something that stood out to me. He's like, a lot of founders, especially first-time founders or people who are, you know, new to the space or whatever it is, they take those no's to heart.
Yeah.
And Kyle and I talk about all the time is like allowing the no's to fuel you. You know what I mean? Like, it's, yes, that no hurts, or, you know, you felt some type of way about it, but allow that to be a momentum to carry you forward to the next yes.
No, you shouldn't even be an entrepreneur if you don't like the word no, because you're going to hear no from a customer, clients, in interviews, everything, like investors. Like, that's the word that you just got to get very comfortable with. And it should actually push you, because you're going to be like, nah, I'm on to something, right? Like, the more no's you get sometimes, it's more like y'all sometimes don't see what we're creating, right? Because, again, me and Kris, for example, we're in the book space. Most people are like, oh, book's out of date, blah, blah, blah. And then you just show them the numbers back over here. You show what's happening. You're like, okay, why is this many people doing this thing, right? It's no different than Airbnb with Brian Chesky and all them. It's like, are people like, oh, are you actually going to be doing an bed and breakfast at your house and people do this? They're like, no one does this, right? So those no's, you have to kind of use them as momentum as well.
And learn from those no's. You take those no's as a learning opportunity. Once those individuals tell you no, you get that feedback and find out how can you tailor your company if required, because there's a lot of, they call it whiplash, feedback whiplash, and you don't want to get that as well. So you have to take it, digest it, and make the best decision that works for you and your company, and continue to grow. And I know we've been on a roller coaster ourselves, and right now we're on a good high, but we just came off a no a few weeks ago that put us in a bad place, but now we're rebounding and keep going forward. And then how I got into access mode was a post that I saw on LinkedIn. I applied one day. I didn't hear back from access mode. I actually didn't think I was going to get in. And then randomly a month later, the post reappeared again. It stated that the application deadline was at night. I said, I'm not going to apply. It's really no point. And then something at the last minute told me to apply, and I was fortunate enough to get in, meet you.
Yeah, I say we're lucky.
Yeah, and I would say we all hit it off pretty, off the bat. Like, I remember the first opening thing we did, we ate with Caleb.
Yep.
The first retreat we did, Donovan and I were in the same little
group,
annex group or whatever. So yeah, I mean that's from my perspective. Obviously,
I agree.
Obviously, it could be wrong.
I mean, if we didn't, honestly,
we hit it off immediately.
Oh yeah, I guess if we didn't like each other, we wouldn't be doing no podcast.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of relationships that you didn't, like each other off the.
But no, my biggest thing going into the Access Mode program was that I was a solo founder, and I was afraid everyone's going to have a co-founder in there. They're already going to have those relationships, and then I'll be on the outside looking in. But then when I got into the Access Mode program, Caleb is a solo founder. Brandon's a solo founder. Claudia. The list goes on. I think we have 2 or 3 more individuals.
Yeah,
sorry,
LaDonna.
I'm forgetting it.
Shout out to LaDonna,
my bad, LaDonna. Shout out to LaDonna.
Cherise.
But one more time, shout out to LaDonna, UPS, Small Business Winner of 2023. Congratulations again, LaDonna.
Yeah,
man.
So, yes, I had that angst that I was going to come in there, be a solo founder, and then fortunate enough, y'all took me into hung out with me. It was fun times, and here we are now making a podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what it's all about. It's that community. It's once you get the opportunity to see others doing what you're doing, it builds that belief, and so that's exciting.